Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 367 for October 22nd, 2024. I'm your host, Adam Snow. On this week's show, the AF1 announces their newest franchise, the Oregon Lightning. We have a 5,000-yard passer in the CFL, and more NFL stars go down with season-ending injuries. But I am not here by myself. Across the table from me, filling in for Randy, is my brother-in-law, Kyle Sutherland, a.k.a. the co-host of Just Lying Around. Kyle, we're glad that we could call you up from the practice squad to make it onto the active roster.
Thank you. I hope I can make the team here, so try my best.
You know, tryouts are very cutthroat here at the World of Football, Kyle, and I have been known to talk over my co-host when somebody fills in for Randy. I will try not to do that. Just don't leave me dead air, and I think we'll get through today's episode just fine. Anything else? Yeah, you're already just...
Oh, no, I'm ready to roll. Let's get it.
All right, guys. We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the World of Football, all while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music, so you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcasts. We have timestamps down in the description of both the podcast and the audio podcast feed in our YouTube video, so you could go right to the topics you really want to listen to. You can also find our podcast in full audio form on our YouTube channel. Just search the World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle at the World of Football in the YouTube search bar. You will find over 400 videos on our YouTube channel, including this past week we posted CFL Week 19 recap. Dad and I did. Kyle and I, obviously, we did Just Lying Around, the Lions versus Vikings recap video. Might actually be one of the best shows we've done, Kyle. I figured you got 42 podcasts under your belt now. Maybe it's time for you to get up here to the active roster. And our Week 7 picks video went up this past week as well. Upcoming videos this week, I'll be doing our CFL Week 20 recap all by my lonesome. Kyle and I will be doing Lions-Titans talk. And we got the weekly NFL picks for Week 8, obviously. Aaron and I are going to do that show together. We're going to record that later tonight, so it'll just be me and Aaron with maybe a guest video from Randy sending in a message from Florida today. I don't know if I should have showed you that before the show, but Randy sent me just absolute gold for that show, so I can't wait to talk about that. All right, guys, so let's begin our weekly tour around the world of football, and we start off this week with scores from Week 7 in the NFL. Take it away, Kyle.
All right, so Thursday night we had the Broncos-Saints, Broncos 33, Saints 10. Then we had the awesome Sunday morning London game, Jaguars versus the Patriots. Jaguars finally won that, so they get to go out of London there, 32-16. And then Sunday afternoon, let's talk about Lions versus the Vikings. Lions come out with a win there, 31-29. Then we had the Bills, Titans, 34-10.
Wow, you don't even want to stop to talk Lions and Vikings. You're just plowing through this thing like David Montgomery through a line of Vikings, bro. Like, you don't want to talk anymore about that, or did we just totally exhaust all our Vikings-Lions talk the other day?
Yep. Hey, if you want to talk about or listen to that, we got we did the recap of that on Just Lying Around.
We did. I know we talked about it extensively, but we'll talk about it quickly here on the podcast. Look, the Lions absolutely showed up. It was a little sketchy there at first, down 10-0. They bounced back 21 unanswered second quarter, and then Vikings came back, grabbed the lead at one point. Then the Lions obviously kicked the game-winning field goal to win the game. There's some stats from this we didn't get to mention on that show I wanted to bring up here. One of which is, in the last 4 games, the Lions have had 18 offensive touchdowns, and Jared Goff has only had 16 completions. So it's the only team in NFL history to have more offensive touchdowns than incompletions in a 4-game span since the merger, which is absolutely just nutty stat. I don't know if you saw that one this week. And the Lions have started off 5-1 in consecutive years for the first time since moving to Detroit in 1934. 4. Just absolutely incredible, some of the stuff here happening with our Detroit Lions. There's a not so good note we'll talk about after the scores, but we'll get to that in a minute. Kyle, unless you want to add any more to that Lions-Viking game, which was one of the best games. I mean, we both about had heart attacks during this game, but it was one of the best games. I think Colin Cowherd said it best. This felt like it was an NFC championship game, and the Lions just utterly just deserved that win. And they almost deserved to lose it, but they ended up winning. They deserve it.
Yeah, that was interesting. At the end of the game there, they added one extra play for the Vikings with 1 second to go because they drew a penalty. And I'm pretty sure every Lion fan out there was kind of shaking their head, worried that the Vikings would have went down and maybe scored on a trick play there. But Lions secured that victory with a blitz there. So it was all is good in the nation of Lions fans.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of fans were also, and they even talked about it on the broadcast, that 10-second runoff because of the penalty. But apparently that's the one loophole in that rule where as long as everybody's set, there is no 10-second runoff. So that was just absolutely crazy to me. The Lions, there's always something. There's always some rule that pops its ugly head in that either does or almost bites the Lions in the butt. So glad that worked out the way it did for Detroit at the end, because the win's the win.
Yep. So let's continue here. Dolphins, Colts. Colts won that 16-10, and Adam.
Yep.
You know who ended up playing in the Dolphins side, quarterback there?
That's a good question. I have no idea. It wasn't Tua Tagovailoa, I'll tell you that much.
Well, they need him back, but Tim Boyle ended up having to play that game.
Oh, did he? I guess I didn't catch that. The one thing from this game I wanted to bring up was that the Dolphins scored. Remember last year, the Dolphins scored 70 points in a single game last year? Well, through 6 games of the 2024 campaign, the Dolphins have only managed to score 70 points. I just, I saw that stat and I was like, yikes, that's not good.
Yeah, especially that wide receiver room they got right there. Like, I bet they're like, they can't wait for Tua to come back.
What was it? Did they say that Tyreek only had like 1 target during the game? I heard something crazy where he was only targeted like 1 time, which is unbelievable to me that you would only target that dude that little. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So we had Seahawks, Falcons. Seahawks won 34-14. Packers, Texans. This looked like a pretty good game here. Packers ended up winning 24-22. Then we had the Bengals, Browns. Bengals won 21-14. I want to add here, Deshaun Watson ended up getting hurt during that game. He ruptured his Achilles. He'll be out for the season. And I want to add there, I guess during the game when he got hurt, a lot of people were either cheering or booing or whatever. But
oh yeah,
when someone gets hurt like that, you can't be doing that stuff. Like,
no, I mean, look, absolutely classless by the Cleveland fans. I'm going to say that right now. Absolutely classless. A guy got hurt. Now, I understand why, though, because, I mean, Deshaun Watson's a very polarizing figure there in Cleveland. I mean, between the sexual misconduct allegations and, the 23 things he's had to take care of with that, he's never apologized for. The fact that he has essentially, tied the Browns organization hands behind their back with his monstrous guaranteed contract, which is the organization's fault. They have part in fault of that too. So I understand all that frustration, and it does not help that he is playing like one of the worst players in the NFL, or he had been. So with all that being said, it still stinks that a guy, the way he got hurt, because watching the way that his Achilles just ruptured, and you could see it in that replay, like I had to watch it on the big TV, and when I saw it, I got the chills, and I did not like seeing it at all. You hate to see it. And then Myles Garrett in the locker room after, of course, saying the fans were terrible for booing and all that and that. But then he said something that I'm like, Myles, no. Where he called Deshaun Watson a outstanding citizen, and I just was like, nope, okay, that I can't go with you there. He has not proven that he is an outstanding citizen. So with all that, I mean, it still stinks that he got hurt. He was such a talent. He had so much potential, and he has just become one of the most polarizing figures in the NFL.
Yep. So hopefully he can recover. I don't know if he's ever going to play again or not. I know his contract is up, in 2 years or whatever for the Browns.
They're still on the hook for 50, 60, 70 million next year and then the year after. I don't know what you do with that. I mean, if that injury just doesn't keep him out all next season, I mean, what do you do? I mean, you can't trade him. It's unless they work out some massive buyout or something of that contract. Like I don't see him getting rid of him. I don't see anybody trading for him. Not the way he's been playing.
No.
So
he's gonna be a Brown until they either get rid of him or he retires. So on a lighter note here, we got the Eagles-Giants. Saquon Barkley going home to the Giants there and really blew them out there, 28-3.
I mean, yeah, 28-3. I mean, I figured Saquon. You knew they were just going to feed him the ball all day long.
Yep, and then we had the Rams-Raiders. Rams won 20-15. Commanders won 40-7. I know a lot of people. Commanders quarterback there,
Jaden
Daniels went out of the game. It sounds like he's going to be all right, so that'll be good for them.
Yeah, I think the coach said week to week. It was a rib injury.
Yeah.
I hope he plays because that matchup they got this Sunday against the Bears could be really interesting. It's actually, obviously, my number one game every week is watching the Lions, but I'm actually very curious to watch this because I've told Bears fans at work that if you guys can beat the Commanders, I will give you your flowers, and I will no longer look at you as a team that's only gotten wins against one-win teams. I'll give you guys a little more credit. But I don't even think that if Jaden Daniels misses this game, I think Washington's still going to be quite the opponent for the Bears to overcome. I just can't remember at the top of my head. I guess I could look it up real quick. But where that game is next week, if it's in Chicago, is it in Washington? And I'm pulling it up right now if the NFL app would cooperate with me. And it looks like it's in Washington. So, yeah, I would consider Washington very heavy favorites in that one.
Yeah, that'll be a good game to watch there. Moving on, next game here, Super Bowl opponents refacing each other. We had the Chiefs 49ers, Chiefs 28-18. Few notes on that. Wide receiver Brandon Ayuk suffered a torn ACL in his right knee. He'll require surgery and end to his 2024 season. Also, had a couple other players out for the 49ers. So
yeah, Deebo Samuel, I think, was hospitalized. He's got pneumonia or something like that. So they were without their big weapons. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey's still out. So they're without a lot of their big weapons. Brock Purdy throws 3 interceptions during the game. And the Chiefs are the lone unbeaten team now, at 6-0. And they're doing it with Patrick Mahomes just playing
like crap,
borderline average. I mean, and that's just being nice. I think Mahomes, I mean, that defense, though, for Kansas City has been their saving grace. That and Andy Reid just getting bubble gum and shoestring and, finding dudes and just getting Patrick Mahomes people to throw the ball to. It's been amazing, the amount of work that team has had to do. And even though they don't look great, the fact that they're still 6-0 and finding ways to win is impressive and scares me at the same time. Because that just means when they get guys back healthy, when they hit their stride later in the year, they're going to be a formidable team, especially with that defense rocking the way they've been rocking.
Yep. So next we got the Steelers, Jets. Aaron Rodgers got his guy back home, Devontae Adams, and everybody was expecting the Jets to really blow out the Steelers here, but the opposite can be said here. Steelers won this game 37-15. Big news out of that. We had the Steelers start Russell Wilson over Justin Fields there. And Russell Wilson, after throwing some really bad balls out there, started doing his famous moon balls out there and making a lot of plays for them.
I mean, I started watching this game in that first quarter when I saw Russ just throwing lame ducks. I was like, oh boy, this is not good. I went to bed, and I missed a great second half because Russ put on a clinic, it sounds like. The Steelers put up the most points they have in years. 37 points for a Steelers team just feels weird to say because they're such a grinded-out, low-scoring team usually. But if this is the Russell Wilson, because he didn't play terrible last year. He was okay at best. he's still not going to be what he was in Seattle. But if this Russell Wilson is the version we're going to get all year, the Steelers could be one of those sneaky teams, going into the playoffs. And I'm looking forward to that. And then what do we say about the Jets? I mean, it's just Aaron Rodgers, he's run out of people to throw under the bus, so he threw the media under the bus this week. Like,
Oh, yeah.
gotta stop listening to you guys. And then he got his guy Devontae Adams. I think it's funny that Devontae, I don't think he played in that game last week, but he lost to the Steelers with the Raiders, got traded to the Jets just to lose to the Steelers 2 weeks in a row. I think that's funny. And it'll take them time. They'll gel, but man, Aaron Rodgers and that whole organization, it's a mess. I don't know what they have to do. I think they just got to clean house and start fresh, get the stink of that Aaron Rodgers era out, because you get rid of Robert Saleh, who was leading, like their defense was top 2 in the league. That was one of the best defenses in the league there, the Jets. He's out 2 weeks now, and they've allowed 37 points this week. And I think they allowed over 30 points last week or close to it. I forget at the top of my head, but uncharacteristic. But that goes to show you how good of a coach, at least on the defensive side of the ball, Robert Saleh was. Offensive side, still a lot to be desired there. I don't trust Nathaniel Hackett. Obviously, that's why they took the play calling away from him. But you can't let Aaron Rodgers have his way. And look what it's done to that organization.
Yeah. What they need to do is just let Aaron Rodgers coach, get another guy from retirement, and have him come in with Aaron Rodgers, so they might win a game or two.
I don't know. They got some winnable games coming up. We'll see if they can right the ship. They're not out of it, but man, at 2-5, I don't feel good about this Jets team at all.
As Bill Belichick, Jets will be the Jets. All right, so we couple more games here. We had a couple Monday night games. Ravens, Buccaneers. Ravens won 41-31. Couple notes on this game. Buccaneers will be without their 2 top wide receivers. Chris Godwin dislocated his ankle. He's out for the season. And Mike Evans had a hamstring injury. Sounds like he's going to be out maybe 4 to 5 weeks, if not more.
Woof, that's a tough one. I mean, look, they played a really good Ravens team who I don't know, as good as our Lions are, the Ravens are the only other team that I would say, like, it's got to be Lions, Ravens, 1 and 2. You swap them back and forth. Throw the Chiefs in there. Those are your top 3 teams maybe in the NFL. So the Ravens still humming along. Derrick Henry on pace to probably break 2,000 yards rushing this year, which is crazy because no one back has ever done it twice. He could be the first guy to do it twice with 2 different teams. I mean, Derrick Henry is just something else. But for the Bucs, look, the Bucs are the one team to beat Detroit this year. They got weapons. Baker's been playing awesome the last couple years. They were a team I was looking forward to maybe running back into in the playoffs and getting a little revenge for that Week 2 loss. But, man, they're down Chris Godwin. That's a blow. Chris Godwin is one of those names where he's so important to that offense, and he's just such a safety valve. He's kind of one of those sneaky guys that where he's dependable, and he's always going to make a play. He's going to have a game usually, maybe not a big game, but he's going to have a nice game. And then you lose Mike Evans, who's obviously one of the best receivers in the game, has been for a while. You hate to see that for a team that like a team like the Bucs that has such potential, just to lose 2 playmakers like that for Baker. That stinks.
Yep. So it'll be interesting what they do going forward here. Last game here we had the Chargers Cardinals. Adam, do you have ESPN Plus?
I do actually. Why?
Okay.
Why do you ask?
Because that's the only way you could watch this next game here.
I didn't know that.
I don't know why they did this, but we had the Cardinals Chargers. Cardinals won 17-15. So yeah, that wraps up your Week 7 scores there.
All right, and then a few news items from this week. I'll let Kyle catch his breath over there. I mean, he's not used to running the sprints we have to do here on the podcast, so got to let him rest up a little bit, and he's got his Gatorade right there. Take a sip of that. You deserve it. Good job. All right, some other news from the week. The NFL has flexed the Colts at Vikings Week 9 matchup to Sunday Night Football, bumping the Jags versus Eagles to Sunday afternoon. And my question to you, Kyle, is what the hell is the NFL doing? They got the Lions versus Packers game sitting right there to put in Sunday Night Football, and yet they choose Colts and Vikings? Don't get me wrong, the Vikings are a very good team, but the Colts? What are we thinking here?
Like Jim Irsay really lined that pockets for the NFL and got that game for them.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah.
Or is it the fact that maybe, just maybe, by that time, the Vikings will have brand new quarterback under center by the name of Matthew Stafford?
Okay.
As trade rumors going about right now that the Vikings are trying to trade for Matthew Stafford. Boy, oh boy, would that be something if it actually happened. I don't believe it will, but could you imagine?
No, I couldn't because the Vikings would be really stupid if they did that. They got Sam Darnold. I mean, he's playing great for them. So
He is.
why would you go out, maybe cost like a second or first round pick just to get Stafford? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, may I remind you that the Rams did this where, they traded away their quarterback to another team and got Matthew Stafford and took him to a Super Bowl. Look, we'll entertain it for a second here. Look, if it happened, Matthew Stafford going to the Vikings would be scary. Would he be an upgrade at the position? Sure. Does it take him over the top and win the Super Bowl? Maybe. But what would you have to give up? This Vikings team is still kind of young. They got a lot of good pieces there for sure, but what would you have to give up? I mean, are the Vikings really in that big of a must-win now? Like, this is it? But then you got J.J. McCarthy sitting there in the wings. Like, he could learn from Matthew Stafford, I guess, if Matthew Stafford wanted to play a few more years. But I just don't know why, if you're Matthew Stafford, why you would want to go. I mean, I guess the Vikings are a win-now team, and he wants to win another ring before retiring. I don't know. I don't see this happening. It seems like a pipe dream that Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk has dreamt up and has infected the media with. I would be shocked if something like this happened, especially mid-season for a big quarterback like that. That would be tremendous. So right now, I don't put any stock into it.
Yeah, you got to remember too, Vikings defensive side. They brought in a lot of guys 1-year contracts. So maybe this is we need to win now mentality for them.
Well, maybe, and we'll have to wait and see. And trade deadline is a week from today, I believe.
November 5th.
November 5th. Okay, so we got 2 weeks.
Yep.
So we got a couple weeks to see what teams will do. We're all waiting to see if the Lions will pull the trigger on a pass rusher. But we'll have to, be patient, everybody. Just be patient. All right. So, a couple more news stories here. This one I saw the other day, and I just thought this was very interesting. According to an article from Front Office Sports, the Packers are feuding with the city of Green Bay over future stadium renovation spending. You don't hear that often, especially with a team that doesn't have an owner. They are pride on their team is owned by the fans. That's their whole thing. But the Packers claim that the postponed talks with the city over the funding or whatever have caused them to cancel $80 million in planned renovations of the lower concourse this past season. So a little trouble in paradise. I saw it was like $2.5 billion they want to put into that stadium over the next couple decades. So like a little bit of maintenance here and there to keep that, and if you've ever been to Lambeau is something else. I've never been there for a game. I'm sure that whole atmosphere would be nuts. But I've taken a tour of Lambeau, and it is a gorgeous stadium. So I just found it interesting that the city and the team are kind of butting heads. All right. Nothing from Kyle there. Got the thumbs up to move on. All right. Tampa Bay Buccaneers owners, the Glazer family, donated $1 million to support local nonprofits impacted by Hurricane Milton. This is the latest contribution after they already donated $1 million to support local agencies in the Tampa Bay region in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. You love to see it. I love hearing stuff like this, that these organizations, these teams, and their own, the owners and all that are so involved and invested in their community that they'd give the relief like that, especially after those hurricanes kind of ravaged the area down there, which was pretty rough. And so I always like seeing stories like that the ownership could always, send a little money out to help out people in need. All right, and the last story I have here from our NFL notes, Kyle, one that you might be chomping at the bit to get to.
Oh, yeah.
The Lions wide receiver Jamison Williams is facing a 2-game suspension for violation of the performance-enhancing substances policy. This broke last night, I guess, during the Monday night game. I didn't know about it. You sent it to our fantasy football group chat, and I thought it was just you saying you were benching him from your fantasy team because he only got you 0.6 points and you lost your matchup. but then you had to send the screenshot and ruin my morning. So how do you feel about this?
If I was Jameson Williams, I would I'd be really upset with myself. Like you had the first season there, you were hurt, so you didn't play. Second season, you got caught gambling, so you missed some time there, and now you got caught with I guess smoking the doobie, I guess. And
we don't know that for
masking
a fact.
it up.
That's not.
It's
a fact
on
yet.
X, so you can see it.
I don't know if that's been proven yet or not. I haven't seen anything about it. But regardless, it's disappointing to say the least. I've already, I listened to one of the Detroit sports talk shows, and they talked about, people calling in saying, oh, the Lions shouldn't extend his contract when it's up. They should just get rid of him. He's a problem. He's always doing something. He's a kid. All right. Yeah. The gambling thing. Yep. That's on him. Whatever this is, and we do not know the severity, what he took or when he took it, because it could have been something in the off season that they're just now getting around to. We don't know. Could it be something to cover up the fact that he was smoking the reefer? I don't know. Maybe it is. That's on him if that's what happened. But if it was something accidental, because note it's not performance enhancing drug, it's the substance, so it's kind of nebulous where that, could be a lot of different things in there. He could have unknowingly ingested something that's just on that monstrous list of banned substances that players can't have. So who knows? We'll have to find out. The other key word here is the phrasing of is facing. He is not officially suspended. Nothing has officially come out from the league yet. Usually that stuff comes out today on Tuesday, so I'm looking at my phone waiting to see if there's an official release by the NFL talking about suspensions. Because they do their fines and their suspensions usually like this time during the week. So nothing's come through the wire yet on that. So we'll have to wait and see what really happens. It'll be interesting to see if he actually gets suspended. Does he appeal it? How does that delay it? There's a lot there. So it just stinks to hear from a young guy who's got so much talent, so much potential, and have another problem like this kind of rear its ugly head in. Just shows, a little immaturity still in the kid.
Yeah, I was talking to a guy at work. It's not only hurting himself, but he's kind of hurting his team too as well. So hopefully he does get over this, whatever happens. But I hope he gets I wouldn't say counseling or whatever, but kind of gets help from his teammates as well, kind of talking to him and helping him out and stuff like that.
All right, that's everything to do with the NFL. Now, guys, we're going to head north of the border, and we're going to talk about games played in the Canadian Football League where the Rouges run free and the poutine is everywhere. Kyle, have you ever had poutine before?
I had it once at Disney.
At Disney? Wow, not even in Canada. You got to get that authentic Canadian poutine, just so you know. When we went to that CFL game, there was like 5 different kinds of poutine at the stadium. It was great. I had the one that Randy bought was a little too spicy for him, so I ate it. It was pretty darn good. All right, guys, we had 3 games this past weekend. It was week 20 in the CFL, and we start Friday night. Saw the Hamilton Tiger Cats defeat the Calgary Stampeders 42-20. Hamilton quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell threw for 450 yards and 5 touchdowns during this game to reach 5,000 passing yards on the season. Now, Kyle, I know you're a big CFL fan. You watch every snap of the CFL from, mid-May to November. How do you feel about Bo Levi Mitchell?
I think this was a game where you sent a text to me to watch, so I maybe watched 10 minutes of this game. But, yeah, it's quite different. But, yeah, Levi Mitchell, they got some good wide receivers out there, too. They were definitely making plays out there.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for reading the notes. Hamilton wide receiver Tim White has now gone 3 straight seasons with 1,000 receiving yards. Yeah, Tim White was out, catching and pretty much catches everything. That dude's a baller. I know you're not a big CFL watcher, Kyle. So this whole segment's just gonna probably go over your head, and you're probably just probably won't say much. But the CFL is such a fun league. I think you would enjoy it, even with all its little quirky rules. For the 10 minutes you watched, can you explain to our audience what you saw, what you felt, what you just, experienced?
I can say that the end zone area is 30 feet 30 yards. Like, you could just run around there. Like,
It's 20 yards deep. No.
Well, looked like 30 to me. They had all the room in the world.
Yeah. Look, that field is massive. It allows for so much. It's so much fun, Kyle. You have no idea. All right, Saturday, the Toronto Argonauts secured a home playoff game by defeating the Ottawa Redblacks 38-31. Also Saturday, the final game of the weekend, the British Columbia Lions shocked the Montreal Alouettes 27-3. Obviously, the Alouettes have been the best team in the league, in my opinion, all season long. I don't know if they sat some starters. We're going to go a little more in depth on these games during Canadian Football League Weekly. I'll be doing that show by myself this week, so go over to the YouTube channel and check that out when that episode drops this week. On bye this week, the Edmonton Elks, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. All right, we're going to look at your standings after Week 20 in the CFL. In the East Division, it's the Montreal Alouettes at 12-4-1. Obviously, they clinched that East Division and get a first-round bye. The Toronto Argonauts at 10-7 have clinched that home playoff spot and will host the Ottawa Redblacks at 8-1 when that game happens here in a couple weeks. And then the Hamilton Tiger Cats at 7-10, despite getting that nice win over the weekend, eliminated from playoff contention. So now they're just padding stats and just looking forward to next season. In the West Division, things are a little hairier still. It's really close as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers sit at 10-7 at the top there. The Saskatchewan Roughriders at 9-7-1, and then the BC Lions at 9-9. So any of these teams could still take that West Division. There is no clear winner. I think the Blue Bombers have only clinched a home playoff spot. So no matter what happens the last week of the season, they'll at least host a home playoff game. But we're still going to try to find out who is the division champion, and we'll find that out next week. The Edmonton Elks obviously eliminated at 6-11, and the Calgary Stampeders eliminated at 4-12-1. News item from this week, the Hamilton Tiger Cats will retire Garney Henley's number 26 during their 2025 home opener. Henley played 16 seasons of his CFL career with the Ticats, earning 4 Grey Cups and breaking multiple team records. He'll join Angelo Mosca, number 68, and Bernie Filoni, number 10, as the only 3 Ticats to have their numbers retired. All right, guys, we are now, as I just make a quick note here, all right, we will stay in the Great White North, and we're going to talk about some Canadian college football scores. That's right, I did Randy's due diligence, and I found a bunch of random scores from the USPORTS up there in Canada. And I hope I got a lot of these team names right. Like, Dad will pull out these team names. I'm just like, these aren't real team names, are they? But they are. This first one I thought was fun. I wanted to add this one. As the Manitoba Bisons defeated the Alberta Golden Bears and Pandas 38-37 in overtime. So I clicked on the Alberta team name, and apparently they have 2 mascots, the Golden Bears and Pandas. So I don't know which it is, if the team is just called the Golden Bears and Pandas. I was just absolutely flabbergasted. I would love to know more about this. If you guys are USports fans, let us know in the comments. Send us a message. I would love to know more about the Alberta Golden Bears and Pandas. Send us a hat and t-shirt. I'd take that too. All right, then the Saskatchewan Huskies defeated the Regina Rams 22-20. And then the Montreal Carabins over the Concordia Stingers 33-3. And also, if I get any of these nicknames wrong, I apologize. It was just real quick research by me to find these teams and team names to put them in Randy's spreadsheet or the script here. All right, in Canadian Junior Football League, the CJFL, it was playoff time, so we had 4 games. Normally, Randy only talks about 3. I got 4 games here for you. The first being the Okanagan Sun over the West Shore Rebels, 23-17. The London Beef Eaters over the Quint Skyhawks, 65-7. The Regina Thunder over the Saskatoon Hilltops, 24-19. And the St. Clair Saints over the Ottawa Sooners, 34-6. All right, guys, we're going to head back to the United States to cover scores in college football. And we're going to throw it over to Kyle, who, I don't know if everybody knows this, but Kyle's a big college football fan and a big Michigan fan. I can't wait to talk to him about all of this. Kyle, take it away.
All right, so we got our big game of the week here. I think everyone was really excited for this game. We had the number 1 Texans facing off against the number 5 Georgia.
Texans? You mean Texas?
Texas, yeah. Anyways, Georgia's defense really showed up and made it really hard for Texas, and Georgia won 30-15.
Yeah, what a heck of a game. Did you watch any of this?
Yeah, I was kind of like, holy cow, Georgia's got a defense. Holy cow.
Dude, Georgia came out and just punched Texas couldn't do anything. I was so bored watching this game. I was like, do something, Texas. It was like that meme of poking them with the stick. Like, just do something. Texas couldn't do anything. Even when they threw Arch Manning in there, he couldn't do anything either. And that was just a rough watch. But Georgia looked so good.
Yep. So we had number 2 Oregon over Purdue. What a slaughter fest here, 35-0. Oregon goes 7-0 for the first time since 2013. We had number 3 Penn State. They had a bye. Number 4 Ohio State had a bye. And then we had number 6 Miami over Louisville, 52-45. Then we had number 11 Tennessee upset number 7 Alabama, 24-17.
Did you watch this one?
No, I didn't.
Oh my! I watched this one. I think Alabama was leading for a little bit, so I kind of wrote it off. But then when I saw Tennessee creeping back into it, I turned to this game, and Tennessee showed up. It was great. The ending of this game was phenomenal. I love seeing, I love chaos with my college football, and this just adds chaos. Now Alabama's got 2 losses. Tennessee had that ugly loss when they were number 1. Now this win probably projected them. I think I haven't looked at the top 10 of the going into this week, but I assume that propelled Tennessee back into the top 10. It's just college football is wild. I love it, and I am so excited now. Like with all these upsets, with all these good teams, like with one loss, like the playoff is going to just be absolutely incredible this year. And I'm sorry that your Michigan team, and we'll get to them, might be on the outside looking at.
Yeah, they're done. Okay, moving on. We had number 8 LSU over Arkansas, 34-10. Then we had number 9 Iowa State escapes UCF, 38-35. Then we had Clemson over Virginia, 48-31.
And that's supposed to be number 10. Sorry, I missed that in the script. Number 10, Clemson. Yep. So that's your top 10 team action this past week.
All right. So we had some upsets, shutouts, blowouts, and more. Indiana, really good team. Number 16, Indiana over Nebraska, 56-7. Nebraska was praised for the defense, but Indiana really blew them out of the water there.
What a slaughter. I was watching this because our family member, Nathan, he is on the sideline as an assistant for Indiana. I texted him after the game, and I said, how crazy is it down there? And I forgot that they had the big noon kickoff crew there, so it was a whole thing. I'm sure Bloomington was just hopping down there. Right, it is Bloomington, right? Bloomington, Indiana. You don't know at the top of your head? All right. I apologize. It's Blooming something. I'm pretty sure it's Bloomington. But anyway, hopping down there. I told Nathan, like, if Indiana keeps doing what they're doing, we're going to have to get Nathan on the show to talk about the craziness of being as a part of this Indiana team this season, because they're on a heck of a ride, heck of a job by that coach, all the transfers they brought in. This team looks formidable, and I'm kind of pulling for them in the Big Ten. I'm sorry. I know I don't have any real allegiance in the Big Ten, but I'm kind of pulling for Indiana. I'm liking their story right now.
Yeah, I'd root for Indiana over Ohio State any day.
Well, I'm sure you would.
So, yeah, moving on here. Let's talk about Illinois and Michigan here.
Okay.
So we had number 22 Illinois over number 24 Michigan, 21-7. A couple key things here. Illinois came out with their throwback uniforms, wearing the Jim Thorpe, looking uniforms. Their helmets were awesome, but the rest of that jersey was not impressive.
What?
No, I did not like it.
Of course, you just didn't like it. You were getting a beat down in that game. 7 points is what the lowest score Michigan's had since like the Brady Hoke era or some crap like that.
Yep, I think they've re-entered that era.
Oh boy, I'm sorry to hear that, but no, these uniforms, and Dad would argue with me here, they were awesome. Illinois, they nailed this. It was in honor of Red Grange's 6-touchdown performance against the Michigan Wolverines 100 years ago. So they look like the Red Grange era uniform, which was beautiful. I think as the World of Football account, I retweeted a great video where they made the game look black and white and like one of those old film strips. It was incredible. Illinois just absolutely nailed this. The helmets themselves were so cool because, yes, they look like the leather helmets, but the fact that each helmet took like 2 hours to kind of prep, because they're all hand painted and all that, so it added just added to that thing. I want a mini helmet of this helmet so bad. It's a great look. I hope they bring it back again. I hope other teams adopt a leather helmet look with their old, like, early days throwback uniforms, because it's a winning look. It looked great. Yes, I'm sorry, Kyle, it was at the expense of your Wolverines, but I think they absolutely nailed it. It might be one of the best football uniforms ever.
Yep, those helmets really did look good. But that was the first win over Michigan since 2009.
2009, yep.
Yep, 2009. There you go. So, yeah, good win for the Illinois there. Moving on, we had New Mexico over Utah State, 50-45. Memphis over North Texas, 52-44. Washington State over Hawaii. There you go, 42-10. Colorado over Arizona, 34-7. Eastern Michigan over Central Michigan, 34-24. 38 to 24.
Okay, at least you're about to correct yourself. Randy, I usually have to correct.
And then we got the hometown Western Michigan over Buffalo, 48-41. That leaves Western Michigan as the last unbeaten school in conference play. U of Western Michigan tight end Blake, was it Bosma?
Yep.
Caught 3 touchdowns during the game. Became a new record in the school history for tight ends.
Heck yeah, I love that stat. Good for our Broncos. It's great to see them being undefeated in MAC play. And who knows, if they make it to the MAC championship again. I mean, Dad's always ready to pull the trigger on a MAC championship game run. And if Western's there, I'm into it. We could do it, Kyle. You could go see what a winning team in Michigan looks like besides the Lions.
I thought they renamed that because it's usually at a Ford Field, right?
It is, yeah. The MAC championship game is in Ford Field. You're thinking of the bowl game where they renamed it to. It was like the Motor City Bowl, then it became Little Caesars Pizza Bowl, then it became. I think now it's the Quick Lanes Bowl is the bowl game that they get, but the MAC championship game is played at Ford Field still.
Okay, so moving on here, we had military academies, college games here. We had the number 23 Army over East Carolina, 45-28. Then we had number 25 Navy over Charlotte, 51-17.
And just crazy how both those teams are still undefeated. Army at 7-0, Navy at 6-0. Navy coming off of that bye, but it's awesome to see these teams, one in the top 25 and two both being undefeated. Is pretty sweet.
Yep, and both those teams are pretty much like a running game, right?
Yeah,
they run the ball a lot.
Yeah, they'll pretty much. Yeah, they just run it down your throat, kind of that classic style football there.
So yeah, they should have a couple great running backs, hopefully for the draft and this year or next year. That'll be interesting. So moving on, we had Colorado State over Air Force, 21-13. There's 10 undefeated FBS teams. Army, Navy, Pitt, Iowa State, BYU, Miami, Indiana, Oregon, Penn State, and Liberty.
Yeah, crazy because Texas, last week we had 11, so Texas was one of the unbeatens that got knocked out. So now we're down to 10 in FBS play, so that's pretty cool there. I could take it over from there, Kyle. You've been doing a great job. All right, we're going to go through the FCS division. 3 random scores I pulled out for these ones. Harvard over Holy Cross, 35-34. Davidson over Stetson, 70-48. And Sacramento State over Weber, I believe it's Weber State, 51-48 in double overtime. Down in Division II, it was Central Oklahoma over Northeastern State, 64-57. Kutztown over Shipsenburg, 31-2. Kutztown was featured last week on the scoreboard. Randy brought up that score. And then finally, Bowie State over Bluefield State, 54-0. In Division III, it was Wisconsin Whitewater over Wisconsin Stevens Point, 66-0. North Central from Illinois over North Park, 69-0. And then it was Illinois College over Knox, 77-34. In the NAIA, it was Montana Tech over Simpson from California, 97-0. Simpson was featured last week on our scoreboard for getting beat 76-14. So not going so great for Simpson there. And then Quaz over Arkansas Baptist, 85-12. And then you had Texas Wesleyan over Nelson from Texas, 76-19. All right, then in the National Junior College Athletic Association, or the NJCAA, it was our beloved Snow College Badgers over the Pacific Northwest Christian College, 80-0. Then you had Blinn over Louisiana Community Christian College, 59-0. And then the Georgia Military over Andrew from Georgia, 63-0. Any of those stick out to you, Kyle? I mean, just a lot of crazy scores.
A lot of blowout games there.
Yeah, I picked a lot of the blowouts. I'm shocked. I was also trying to find some crazy school names to add to the list there. All right, guys. That was the part of the show that I love to do because we created such a great sounder for this man, and we love hearing from him every week. That's right. We're going to throw it over to our man in Japan, Greg St. James, to give us the lowdown on what happened in the X League.
And now we're off across the Pacific, where our man in Japan, Greg St. James, has all the news from the land of the rising sun.
From Japan, this is Greg St. James with your Week 8 X-League scores. In X1 area play, we had the Mitsubishi Club Tri-X 13-6 over the Penta Ocean Pirates. The Tenai Deers won 49-0 over Bulls FC. The Dentsu Caterpillars 26-8 over Blue Thunders. The AS1 Black Eagles won 23-10 over the Triaxis J-Stars. And then lastly, we had the Bullseyes 16-14 over the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Eagles. Hey guys, thanks a lot for letting me step on in and give you the scores from here in Japan. And we will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, Greg. We appreciate you so much for doing this every week and look forward to more stuff in the coming weeks. So, Kyle, with that, we're going to go back to the U.S. We're going to talk about more happenings here in the world of football, starting with Arena Football 1. I don't know, have you ever been to an arena game before?
No, I have not.
Okay, well, it's great. It's a lot of fun. The indoor/arena game is so much fun. Obviously some turbulence off the field the last summer, but the AF1 is a new league, just for those of you who are new to this. They are a new league technically made up of a lot of the teams that played in the Arena Football League. They're tired of the ownership group that owned the league, so they started their own league. And today they announced that they are their 12th team to join this new league. They're going to be called the Oregon Lightning, and they're going to be playing in Bend, Oregon. And Kyle, I don't think, obviously, since you're not a big follower of the football there, but you got to see this logo. This logo for the Oregon Lightning is a lot of fun. And I got a little bit of a criticism to give to it as well because it was just absolutely crazy. As I try to find the logo here and pull it up for you, check this out. It is like a Sasquatch in front of a lightning bolt. Look at that. Isn't that kind of cool?
It's like something you would make on a fantasy football league.
Almost. And what's funny, though, is if you kind of look, if you guys get a chance to see the Oregon Lightning logo, it looks like a Bigfoot holding a football behind a lightning bolt. But if you kind of look under the second N in lightning, right there at the end, notice how the border doesn't fully, connect. It looks like it was photoshopped a little bit. Well, there was a logo going around earlier this week because I remember seeing this logo and kind of just dismissing it because they misspelled lightning with two I's. So it was LIGHTNIING. So they messed up their graphics. So it looks like somebody did a decent almost decent Photoshop job to kind of clean that logo up. But other than that, look, it's exciting to get another team in the AF1 as they march towards their inaugural season in 2025. But they had a team in Oregon last year, the Oregon Black Bears in the Arena Football League, that did not go so well. So I'm a little hesitant about this, but the AF1 has been putting together solid ownership groups. They've got a plan. So hopefully this all turns out for the best, and we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But I know Randy, Dad, has been wanting to find out who this 12th team was going to be, and there might be some more teams in the future because we got a little bit of an info dump from a source in the Arena Football 1, not going to name names, but that said teams plural should be announced. We thought it would just be one more team and then they'd be done announcing their teams. There could be a few more on the way. We'll talk about another one here in a second. Another news story from the Arena Football 1 is the city of Salina, Kansas is giving $35,000 to the Salina Liberty. By a vote of 4-1, the Salina city commissioners elected to provide funds for the team. Mayor Bill Longbine cast the dissenting vote, struggling to give the money to a football team as, quote, economic development funding. The funds come out of that city budget. So you have a city who looked at the Liberty kind of as a very important staple to that community. So they said, hey, look, we're going to give them money, keep them afloat, because people love going to they have big supporters out there in Salina. They love that team out there. The Liberty have been playing for years. So they have a big fan base, or I won't say a big fan base, they have a very loyal fan base out there. And you want to bring players in from across the country, that you kind of got to make sure that this organization's stable. And I think it's interesting that they did this. I don't know if it's right or wrong from an economic standpoint, as a city. Clearly, by a vote of 4-1, they felt like it was necessary to do this to keep this team afloat. Speaking of keeping teams afloat and money, the Nashville Cats are suing local entrepreneur Chuck McDowell for failing to make good on a $2.5 million payment to become part of the ownership group for that team. Apparently, he was supposed to deal out, about $1 million each year, and hasn't done that. So a little bit of a messy situation. Obviously, the Cats had to deal with the Arena Football League turbulence this past summer. And going into this new league, I don't know if this guy is already a part of it, if they already separated ties and are just looking for that money. But just an interesting situation that's developed. This came out right before we hit record, so I just kind of threw this in here. Our friends over at Arena Fan are the ones who posted this or shared this article that I saw. So thanks to the guys over there. All right, and I want to talk about this. There have been some rumblings about a team called the Las Vegas Kings making the round this week. About joining the Arena Football League, Arena Football 1. It's going to take me a while to get used to that. But, it's a team that apparently was a part of another league, and then they put out this big, massive announcement talking about how they're a part of the AF1, about, joining the league. But there's been no official league, confirmation about this. I mean, they held a big meeting, Kyle, and I see you looking off. Eyes glazing over because you don't know what's happening here. But apparently, so what the AF1 did is they got a bunch of teams together, including their own that are in the league, and other teams that want to be, more prominent in the arena/indoor game. And they kind of had they called it AF University. It was kind of like a clinic for how should you run your game day operations, how should your organization function, money, all that stuff. They kind of covered a lot of those bases, and that's also how they kind of got feelers for organizations they felt could handle a potential franchise so that they're not folding in the middle of the season. So this Las Vegas Kings thing comes about. They post all that, and you know who slid into my DMs, Kyle?
Nope.
The official Las Vegas Kings football Facebook group slid into my DMs and, asking, talking about the first $100,000 investment, 5% ownership stake, $20 million valuation upon AF1 joining. They were contacting me, Kyle, to help them get this team, up and running. I'm sorry, boys, but I can't help you. I just found it wild that they slid into my DMs. I don't know. This doesn't feel legitimate. It feels like a team who's out ahead of their skis. They could eventually become a part of the AF1, but I don't think they've got all their ducks in a row yet because the AF1 would have said something by now if they did. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Found that just interesting and just wanted everybody to know, stop sliding into my DMs, okay? I can't help your football team out, okay? All right. And finally, I want to send a shout out to our friends over at Arena Insider and Off the Wall for partnering up to cover the AF1 and the Indoor Football League next season. I saw this. Our friends Anthony and Trey, Trey with Off the Wall does a lot of good stuff over there. He's got a great podcast. If you guys get a chance to check him out, he does indoor and arena stuff. He does it very well. And Anthony over at Arena Insider has put out some great stuff. He just posted the final episode of his Turbulent Arena Football League docuseries that he's been working on. Go check that out. I have yet to watch it. It's on my list of things to do, but Anthony's been doing great stuff covering that. And, of course, all this breaking stuff he does with Arena Insider covering the game. Absolutely stellar stuff. Congratulations to you guys, and looking forward to seeing what this partnership brings for the upcoming season. All right. We are now going to move on to the Indoor Football League because I want to talk about the upcoming schedule. They announced that they will release this schedule on October 31st. which is great news. But hidden in that announcement is that 2 teams will not be back for the 2025 season, but could potentially come back in 2026. Those 2 teams being the Duke City Gladiators and the Frisco Fighters. The league will go ahead with their 2024 or 2025 campaign with 15 teams for their 17th season. And just so you know, Kyle, we might be heading down. We got something else in the works, maybe going down to see the Fishers Freight, a brand new team there in the indoor football league they play down in Indianapolis or near Indianapolis. And we're looking at going down there for their inaugural season in 2025. So just a heads up, clear your schedule up.
Yeah, well, if they ever bring back the Grand Rapids Rampage, I'll go see one of those guys.
Oh, don't get me started. Don't get you. This is not the place to get us started on that topic, Kyle. Okay, jeez. All right, guys. We got some birthdays and anniversaries. Thanks to Dad. Dad had this ready to go before he left, so saved me some time here to scour all these. On this day in 1931, as I have to make another timestamp note. All right, for the on this day in 1939 is the first NFL game ever to be televised. It was between the Brooklyn Dodgers defeating the Philadelphia Eagles 23-14 at Ebbets Field in Brooklyn. So that's pretty cool on this day. So also on this day, 1975, the World Football League officially folded after 1.5 seasons. Defensive back Otis Smith turned 59. He played his college football at Southern and at Missouri. He signed as a free agent and played 13 seasons in the NFL from 1991 to 2003 with the Eagles, Jets, Patriots, and Lions. He won Super Bowl 36 with the Patriots. It's also a happy birthday to tight end Heath Miller, who played college football at Virginia. He was the 30th overall pick in the 2005 NFL draft by the Pittsburgh Steelers. He played 11 NFL seasons, all with the Steelers from 2005 to 2015, and won Super Bowls 40 and 42 with the team. Now we head on to our...
Whoa, hold up.
Oh, whoa.
You're forgetting another birthday.
Is there another birthday? Whose birthday?
Yeah, Lions. Brian Branch.
Today's Brian Branch's birthday?
Yep.
Oh, man, how did I forget about BB? Dad did not have that in his notes. So, I mean, that's a little bad on me, but a lot more bad on Randy. He's not even here to defend himself, so way to go, Dad. Way to screw that one up. Happy birthday, Brian Branch. What a game he had over the weekend, too. We can give him some love.
Yep.
He's been stellar. I mean, we all thought Aiden Hutchinson would be Defensive Player of the Year the way he was playing. Brian Branch keeps playing like this. He's gonna be the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, he was rated the highest safety this week, so yeah, well deserved.
Yeah, no doubts there. All right, guys, we're gonna move on. We have one obituary this week. This is where we take a moment to honor those who have made the world of football a better place. This week we're going to be talking about Whit Tucker, a wide receiver in the Canadian Football League for 9 seasons, has passed away at the age of 83. Tucker played college football at Western Ontario and was selected in the second round of the 1962 CFL draft by the Ottawa Rough Riders. He played his entire career in Ottawa from 1962 to 1970 and won back-to-back Grey Cup titles in 1968 and 1969. Tucker was inducted into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame in 1993. All right. Now we're going to talk about some upcoming events on the upcoming events calendar here. This Saturday, October 26th, is the end of the CFL regular season, Kyle. I know it's been a long season. You love watching the game. Now's the time to jump on as they get ready for their postseason play. They got 4 games this weekend. They should be a lot of fun. A lot on the line there in that West Division, as we talked about earlier. All right, then Sunday, November 10th, you have the New York Giants taking on the Carolina Panthers in Munich, Germany. That'll be a 9:30 a.m. kickoff on NFL Network. You excited about that one?
Yeah, whoever loses this should just stay in Germany.
I mean, at this point, the Germany Panthers, the Germany Giants. Ooh, I like the Germany Giants. I don't think New York would like that very much. Or sorry, New Jersey, wherever they play. Then let's see, Sunday, November 17th, we're going to have the 111th CFL Grey Cup game in Vancouver. Dad and I are going to be there, Kyle. We're going to be at the championship game in the CFL. Very excited about this. It should be a great game. All these teams that made the playoffs, I am excited for any of those teams to play. Any of those matchup combinations, I am all about. It should be a great time. And then finally, Tuesday, December 3rd, Hard Knocks in season with the AFC North will be on HBO and Max. I'm very curious about how this is going to go. I mean, they've experimented with this Hard Knocks in season. They've done the Cardinals. They've done the Dolphins in season, Colts in season. And now to get a whole division should be very interesting, especially with the way the Browns are. They're interesting with the whole Deshaun Watson thing. The Bengals with Joe Burrow, and they're underperforming for most of the season. Then you got the Steelers with everything with Russ and what could be happening between him and Justin Fields at quarterback. And then the Ravens just being absolute juggernauts with Derrick Henry at running back. This is going to be darn good television, I think. I don't know if I'll tune in every week. I'll probably tune in for that first episode, see how it goes, how you're jumping between 4 teams. But I find this very fascinating.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I hope they show a lot of Derrick Henry, because I kind of want to see how he gels with the team, how he gels with their quarterback. What's his name?
Lamar Jackson?
Lamar Jackson. Well, yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, you can tell Kyle only focuses on Michigan and Lions football.
Yeah.
He can't remember other people's names. All right, Kyle. Anything else? I did see one thing come across my phone, though, about Mike Evans. We talked about him earlier. He is likely to be out through Tampa Bay's Week 11 bye per Todd Bowles with that hamstring injury. So it'll be a while for Mike Evans to get back on the field. We wish him a speedy recovery. The dude, like I said, dude's one of the best wide receivers out there. He's had, 1,000 yards receiving in the past 10, 11 seasons he's played. He's absolutely insane at that position. Okay, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this week's show as I quickly try to also type out the timestamps. All right. If you've learned anything during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, well, then we've done our job. Visit our website, theworldoffootball.com, for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can follow World of Football on Facebook, X, and Instagram, where the addresses for all 3 is TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of the podcast are posted on Tuesday and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast to hear us on whatever Alexa device you may have. You can also find the full audio version of the show on our YouTube page. Just enter the World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle @theworldoffootball in the YouTube search bar. So please spread the word, subscribe, rate, review, and give us a like, leave us a comment. Let us know what you think, and please come be part of the football conversation.
All right. We'd like to thank you again, Kyle, for coming in, filling in for Randy. How did it feel? I mean, you made it a whole show. You didn't leave. You didn't storm out. You weren't a diva. I hope you don't throw me under the bus like Aaron Rodgers throws his receivers under the bus for how the podcast went. So I just want to say thank you for coming in and doing this. It's nice to do it in person. I mean, obviously we do Just Lying Around every week, but we do that over, the internet, and we don't have to be in the same room with each other. But to get this energy, you have a different energy when you're in person, Kyle, and I'm just trying to get that out of you.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little tired after work here, but
I don't blame you. I mean, it's a long day for us. And shoot, I had to do so much because with Dad being gone, I already do the editing and all that. Now I had to get the scripts together for some of this. Randy sent some stuff ahead of time, so it made it a little easier. But it's a lot. I mean, Dad's got to do a lot, but I mean, he's retired, so he's got a lot of free time. I was at work on my breaks on the computer adding notes and doing stuff, and I was even in the car waiting to pick up the kid today, working on the scripts. So it's a lot of work. A lot of work goes into this, but we're glad to do it each week. All right, guys, please remember, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than us guys sitting here in Kalamazoo talking football. We'll see you all again next week, where Randy will return from vacation and probably restore order to this podcast, but not as long as I'm here and have anything to do about it. I've been Adam Snow.
And I'm Kyle Sutherland.
Wow, way to botch your name. And we'll see you guys next week.